Welcome to day 7 of Pandemic Perspectives.
Hello and good evening, everyone. I am Milan Dhawan from BA Mass Communication second year from St. Mary's College, Yusufkada. I'm glad to welcome each one of you attending this meeting on Pandemic Perspective. This has been a week-long e-conclave by the students and alumni of the Department of Social Sciences and Communication. The principal objective of this occasion is to guarantee the progress of scholastic thoughts during these challenging times. I warmly welcome our head of department, Dr. Joseph Christodos, faculty members, and all other participants. Now let's welcome our speakers of the day. Gayatri is a student pursuing mass communication in our college. She is the editor-in-chief of the college's official newsletter, Campus Tribune, and the president of Public Speaking Club, Vox Populi. She is currently in Budapest for a student exchange program with the Budapest Metropolitan University. Next, our second guest is Ashwin Sita Joseph, a student of mass communication and journalism, former Susie's exchange student, co-director of the Dialogue Project, currently on a student exchange program to Budapest at the Budapest Metropolitan University. I heartily welcome both of you. Now over to you.
Thank you, Milan, for that introduction. And thank you, Joseph, for giving us this opportunity, first of all, to dress up after so long. Yay. But also interacting with all of you and talking about our experience and what we have learned throughout this time.
Well, basically, we are here. Well, we are technically stuck here. Even if we want it back, there is no choice at the moment. But yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah. So right now we are here in Budapest, Hungary. We have been doing our exchange courses over here, and we have decided why not share our experience with you. Not only just as two students of St. Mary's over here, but also as two individuals and what we have learned throughout this lockdown. In a completely foreign country, away not only from our country, but on a completely different continent.
So we had a lot of expectations, to be honest, because after getting selected for such a big exchange program where more than 100 countries are coming together, and we thought we are learning so much, we're going to do so many things. I got to know that there were many field trips which the university usually takes their students to. So I was thinking that probably this is going to be a really huge life changing opportunity for me. But the tension started when I received a mail which said that the welcome day is cancelled. That happened when I was in India. So I had a little bit of a hunch that some problems are going to happen because of the virus. But then I thought probably things will start. But we started our classes on March 25th. And the lockdown was imposed on February 25th, and then on March 11th. So we hardly went to the university for 15 days. And it was a little heartbreaking at first that we won't be having classes after this. So we were a little disappointed. But compared to many other European countries, Hungary has done a lot to curb the virus, and the university has been more than willing to help us out during this time.
So, as Gayatri said, we had already received an email before we even landed in Budapest with, welcoming day being cancelled. And as already mentioned, a lot of different people come together at this university, meaning there aren't only Hungarian nationals here, but we have people not only from Europe, Asia, but we have from South America, North America, Canada, all over. Now, with the welcome day being cancelled, so we lost an opportunity to meet a lot of people, meet, greet, networking. But next, we actually had the opportunity to set up our own little cultural station on a cultural day. Well, the sad part is that right before our cultural day, the month before our cultural day, actually, the university shut down. So basically, the university shut down around the 12th of March because of the, lockdown being imposed by the Hungarian government on universities or any educational institutions first. So they started off with that. But let's talk about the 3 weeks that we did go to our classes. So our classes gave us a wide range of, perspectives, not only as communication students, but also as social science students. Though our main base was communication, and from there we had various teachers, and they were fascinated that you have two exchange students from India, and they wanted to know a lot about our country, our culture. Especially our communications teacher here, we did an entire presentation on Bollywood, and our presentation was one of the longest presentation because
Yeah.
you can't curb Bollywood into one presentation.
Yeah.
And after that, as said before, 12th of March, the lockdown was imposed and our classes shifted to online classes. And we have these fixed scheduled classes on Zoom. So we would take up different topics, talk about it. Since the interaction was limited due to technical difficulties a lot of the time, we managed to get through our courses, but as said before, sitting in a classroom, looking at the teacher, experiencing it is way different than online.
Yeah. I will not, you know, say this that it was difficult, but it also had a silver lining, to be honest, because while being here, we obviously miss our own country, and we miss our friends, we miss our teachers. So because of the lockdown, we were also able to attend online classes back at our home institution, that's St. Mary's College. So I think that little thing was positive for me, because I was able to interact with all the classmates in these online classes. So we realized that because of the lockdown, we'll probably have problems while we try to leave the country and go back home. Even now, we are not sure when the flights will open, how we will come back, and our visa is getting over, so we are going to extend it, and how to manage these time frames, and with the exams back in India. So we are still thinking about what we have to do about it. So there's a little bit of uncertain gray ground over there.
So as said before, we have a gray ground over there, but this has not stopped us from exploring a lot of different things. For example, I think Gayatri could tell you more about this. She is part of a movie club over here. Why don't you tell us more about it?
First of all, being a media student, being a student of Amrit sir, Arpita ma'am, so I've always had the fascination about movies, and Hungarian movies, obviously something out of the sphere I was all in. So I wanted to explore a little more, and I was planning to join clubs also if the lockdown wasn't there. So one of the clubs I had joined through Facebook was a film watching club. So every Friday and Saturday we have meetings via Zoom because of the lockdown. Otherwise, there was meetings in the art campus where we don't have classes. So they were not able to schedule a screening because of the lockdown. So they would inform us about what movies we should watch, and we would watch that, and then we would discuss about it for an hour, about our favorite characters, our favorite lines, the hidden messages behind those movies. So till now, I think I've attended 4 to 5 sessions. So it has been pretty good. Another club which I was very interested to join was the radio club. And I had already talked to the people who were associated with it. And sadly, the day I was supposed to meet them, a day before that, the lockdown was imposed. So all our plans just crashed down after that.
For me, I have been doing various other things. As mentioned in the thing that I'm the co-director of the Dialogue Project. So we did have a sort of a session online. The Dialogue Project is basically an entire group of people where we sit down and talk about interfaith, gender and diversity. So we sit down and talk about it. These are actually filmed sessions that we will be releasing as web series later on. This we are doing as a part of, I'm a part of a student exchange program from the American consulate side. I went last year, so this was one of my projects that I was doing with American consulate, and you'd be hearing more about it later. But we did have a sort of a meeting where we spoke about what we're going through during this lockdown, and how this was before Ramzan started, so we talked about how a lot of us can curb some of the difficulties that we might face, or how they can help each other out during Ramzan and all of that. And obviously, we recently celebrated Eid. So not only that, I've also been part of two different podcasts. One was with my cohort from Susie, and the other one was basically we had an interesting subject over here called the Social Studies Project, where my topic was internet memes, a new medium of communication. So one of my friends was asking about it, and he had recently started a small podcast of a sort within his friends community, and I spoke about my paper and my findings and all of that. Not only that, I have managed to read, I think, around now 47 books, and I've written 2 or 3 short stories by now.
So I think all in all, there are many silver linings to this lockdown. We were able to do so many things during this time. We were, as again Ashwin said, that she was able to attend podcasts and all. It actually gave rise to many ideas to what we can do during this free time. The biggest example, I think, is this conclave itself. We wouldn't have thought that this was possible, and we would be interacting live, YouTube, with all of you. So I think this was a possibility which we wouldn't have thought about if the lockdown was not imposed on us. So this platform, I have watched all of the sessions which happened, and I think I was able to take back many things after each session. So I think we should look at it at a positive way, not just that we are locked inside our house, we can't do anything. If we look at it negatively, we will not be able to go past this. So if we think about the positives, I think we can do a lot, and we can do a lot better with our time. We can think a lot, gives a lot of time for us to brainstorm, etc.
A small perspective on how things are going around here in Europe. Well, basically more in Hungary. Well, Hungary is a part of European Union, but you see every country's government takes different measures. So the first thing that the Hungarian government did was close its borders, not in terms of that people couldn't leave Hungary, but people couldn't come inside Hungary. So but inside, like, you had traveled within the country, you could move from one city to another, but soon that also stopped as the cases increased. And so obviously we were asked to wear our masks and gloves and maintain social distancing. But as compared to India, the supermarkets over here, they were open every day. There was obviously a time limit to how long it would be open. And funnily enough, there wasn't any shortage of any food or anything that was required or anything like that. And there a big major part of staying in a dorm room in Hungary, Budapest, is that you always hear a siren. We don't know whether it's police siren or the ambulance siren. And sometimes when you're speaking to our parents or friends, they get scared, like something happened or something like that.
Is there a case around?
Exactly. And it's not at this point, talking to people, they also got accustomed to it. It wasn't we won't call it it's funny, but it was like sort of thing like, okay, it's going to happen one moment or the other, so just prepare yourself for it. And now recently, so now Hungary has lifted its lockdown. So about 2 weeks ago, not really sure about the date, but 2.5 weeks ago, lockdown was slowly eased out, with small local businesses opening up, and restaurants and all of those pubs opening up. But the thing is that you cannot sit inside and eat or something like that. First, it was only deliveries or takeouts and stuff like that. Now they have opened up to people sitting outside, basically, not sitting in.
Inside.
And
all
all
the
of that.
seating was made outside,
Yeah.
so that they don't contain the virus at one space. So the seating of all restaurants was made outside. So there was outdoor seating. People were served food outside. There were sanitizers everywhere. But funnily enough, even though the use of masks was compulsory, the availability of masks are like very
Yeah.
slim, very, very slim. I myself had to cut out my scarf to make a mask. So
Yeah, I think when we went into the store, like really looking for masks, we did find surgical masks, but they were 1,000 rupees in, like, they were 4,000 forints, which is basically 1,000 rupees in India for 10
10
surgical masks. They are
which
not.
were disposable.
Yeah.
So I think that was a lot. So we decided to make our own masks and go on with it.
Yeah, but now that but what was some of the restrictions that were there actually during the lockdown that we felt was that between 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. No, only the elderly people were allowed to, like, they were allowed to shop, get their things done. So like people of certain ages, basically the youth or middle-aged people, we're not allowed to go out or do any kind of shopping or thing. Walking was also at some point not allowed, but we saw a lot of people walking their dogs over here. And then one thing about Budapest is that they have an amazing nightlife. So whether you're talking about going to the pub or going for a walk near the famous Danube River, which is like heavily populated, whether it was the lockdown or not. But due to at some point in the lockdown, we didn't even see people on the street. I think one day we went up to the terrace and we spotted one person, and Gayatri and I freaked out. We're like, yes, that's a human being. And as much as, that's a weird thing to say at a day and age like this, it was so. And yeah, so, but at one point, everything was so quiet and everything, whether it was morning, evening, or like afternoon or night, it was the same silence, which didn't really dwell well with us because we're coming from India where there's always some sort of noise or something like that. So slowly, as I said, lockdown has eased up. Now people are back on the streets. We have people partying. I think a few days ago when we were attending the e-conclave, it was around 12:30 around this time, and people were singing on the terrace, of our dormitory, and we were like, interesting choice of music you got there.
So yeah, so things are getting better here. You know, what do you say? Everything is almost coming back to normal over here. The public transport has begun, the businesses have begun. It's almost like nothing happened, to be honest, when I went out 2 days ago. So that's what I observed. So I think, yeah, compared to all the other European countries, I remember when my friends got to know that I was in Europe, my old school friends, and they were like, oh my God, Europe is like the epicenter of coronavirus. You totally, what's going to happen to you and all. And Budapest, compared to say, countries like Italy or Spain, have actually done a pretty good job with the virus. And even before the lockdown was imposed, we were getting mails from our university about guidelines we should be following. And we were having all the necessary sanitizers, hand wash everywhere in each and every classroom of the university. So long before the lockdown was even imposed, even though there were no cases of coronavirus in Budapest, the measures were still being taken.
And not only that, we'd like to, give a big thanks to the Budapest Metropolitan University, not only helping us out in terms of courses and all of that, but also making sure that we were well taken care of in the dormitory as well, since the dormitory people are in contract with the university, and the constant mails and updates really reassured students, international students, about what steps to take in case we were confused. We always had a contact point and such like that. So that's really appreciated, considering the fact we don't speak the language also, and my French is it's not the best, basically.
Yes.
And so coming down to some statistics, so Hungary at the moment has about 3,793 cases, out of which 1,856 people have recovered and only 505 deaths.
I hear the silence.
Yeah, I think you guys
I don't know if you can hear it, but we again hear a siren.
Yeah, and I said only 505 deaths. I know it sounds harsh when I said only, but if you go back and check some of the numbers in other countries or other places, like in India itself, we have 4,337 people dead. So we can always say that it's a curbed number that people have been affected as such.
Yeah. So this experience, I don't know how much time has passed, but this was a very different experience because we are in a different country. We're not at our own country. Our parents are always concerned about us. They keep messaging us, they keep calling us, as to how we are doing, and also it is obviously a little scary because we are not with them right now. So I think we have experienced something very different of being away from our country during this situation. So we have learned a lot. We have learned to do many things ourselves. We have realized that we are only responsible for ourselves, and it's a realization which would come sooner or later. So why not just now? So we've realized that we are only responsible for ourselves. We are responsible for our own actions. No one's going to take any responsibility for us. We are, we are unguarded, and we have to always have a backup. So that is something which I realized, and I've also realized that there are a lot of things our parents did for us, and we have taken it for granted. So we have started to value things our parents have given us, are showered on us. So that was something which I think I don't say it enough, but it's true.
And with that, as I pointed out before, we have also learned to be a little more independent. Like in other places, people leave homes to go to colleges. My college is right behind my house, so there isn't a big thing. But the thing is that over here, the few things that we did learn was that we learned how to cook. Not that we didn't know how to cook, it's just that we learned different cuisines. Like I tried a lot of Mediterranean food, and I think we also discovered some of the Indian cuisines that we were missing, but we didn't have the spices or the utensils for it, and we actually used different kind of spices to make that one spice or that one taste that we wanted. So we wouldn't call it a disaster, but we would call it very experimental.
Yeah, so yeah, like just like many people around social media that they're saying that they're trying new things, we did that too. So not a surprise.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, basically, learning to be independent was a great takeaway from this lockdown and in general. So, we'd like you to tell us, if possible, like what you guys felt, whether you felt independent or whether you guys felt that you learned something, or you felt that, no, it just curbed you a little more or stopped you from doing something like this. Um,
Yeah, Ashwin and Gayatri, so happy for both of you. That well
Thank you.
coordinated talk, and you managed to do everything well in spite of the setbacks. There are a few questions from the audience on the YouTube live. Let me ask. The first one is from Mercy Ma'am. She's asking, what was one of the most crucial, overwhelming moment? Something that is etched in your mind, and how did you deal with it?
you want to go first?
So
Most
there were a few
overwhelming moment.
days. I think I did not say it out loud yet, but there were a few days I felt homesick, and there were days when I did not want to get up, and there were these uncertainties as to how we are going to get back. So we were getting constant notifications back from our college that we might have exams, and we might have to go. And then my parents did not want me to go into the state quarantine or the paid quarantine facilities. So that was something very overwhelming, and it kind of put me down. So for now, I'm just going with the flow. I'm just my parents, my friends, they are all like, let's just see what happens in the future. Don't take too much tension about what has not happened yet. So for now, that little fear is still there, and we are just trying to go through it. So that is something overwhelming for me.
I agree with Gayatri about the uncertainty that we felt was when we were in conflict, where all the flights got cancelled, and Qatar, I think Make My Trip Qatar, everyone was sending us emails. Basically, every transportation on earth was sending us emails like, okay, no flights, nothing like this, and all of that. And still, we don't have exact information, but as said before, the university has assured us of some sort of security blanket, and as said before, we have also extended our visa trying to get our visa extended. So that uncertainty is still there, but it's been, like,
It's been better.
yeah, we're feeling a little better right now
Yes.
about it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted. Yeah. There is one question from Revant Johnny Raj. He says, if you were given a chance to come back right now, but only on one condition that you cannot go back, what would you do?
I think I would come back.
Yeah, well, the thing is that our courses are done, everything's gone
Yeah.
online. So if we did come back right now, I think we'd be coming back anyway.
Anywhere.
If the lockdown wasn't imposed, we'd be coming back within a month or so. So if we can come back right now without all the hassle of the
State
quarantine,
quarantine and all
yeah,
of that, we'll definitely come back.
definitely come back.
Murli, you have a question to ask?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. One question. Gayatri and Zita, hi. So,
Hello.
I mean, yeah, back here, our students are also, they're getting to, they're actually getting into new courses and they're having time for it. So, are you also able to get into, join in new courses along with the ongoing one? Are you able to manage timings and all?
So as I said before that we were able to attend both online classes for Budapest Metropolitan University and St. Mary's. So there was a small window of time where I would just relax, and there was again household chores like cleaning up the room and all. But yeah, we were always getting weekly tasks. So we did not really go for any online courses or such, but I was listening to podcasts. So I think there was some learning done there.
And as I said before, I had taken up some podcasts and all of that, but a lot of my friends, actually, you have certain courses that Yale and Harvard has given online for free. A lot of people were taking that up, and I went through one or two pieces of information that the course had given to one of my friends, and they looked really interesting. But the thing is that we were trying to balance stuff over here, like over here at the university over here, and we had our internals back in India as well. So we're trying to put those two together, trying to survive, stuff like that. So that took up most of the time, but yeah, but the learning was there.
Good.
Okay. And
yeah, Murli, go
Gayatri,
ahead.
you also spoke about yes, sir. So Gayatri, you also spoke about the film club, right? So can you tell us something more about the club?
Okay.
Is it only about the appreciation, or and also what kind of languages? Do you get to watch only Hungarian films or other languages also?
No. So there was this one course actually. It is called as Intercultural Communication through Central European Film. So while we were registering for the course, so we are supposed to register all our subjects online. So while I was registering for the course, I found out that for the Erasmus students, the window was full. So they were not taking any more students. So I got to know later that I could contact my professor, the professor of that subject, and I can, complete the course, but I wouldn't be receiving any credits. But all it mattered was I was watching the movies and discussing. So that was what mattered. So I spoke to the professor, and I was luckily able to attend one class before the lockdown. So I watched a few Hungarian films because of that. And I had a friend, I think she's in Iceland right now. So she used to send me Google Drive links every week about which movie is going to be talked about this week and all of that. So I was watching a few Hungarian movies. Apart from the subject, I was also part of the film club. So here we were watching whatever movie we want. So the first movie was Lighthouse. The Lighthouse, I think you must be aware about it. And then after that, we watched Manchester by the Sea. And after that, which one did we watch? Yes, Jojo Rabbit was one. And Uncut Gems. And yeah, that was a session which I could not attend because of some reason, I don't remember. But we were watching whatever movies we want. We used to discuss on the Facebook group that which movie we would watch. And everyone would, vote for the movie, and then we would go watch it. So yeah, that is what is about the film club.
Yeah, there is another question from a colleague of mine, Dr. Srinath from the Department of Sciences. How do you maintain a healthy mind during this time? I think what it means is you are away from home, there is lockdown. And
Um, before coming here, I read this book by Robin Sharma called as the 5 a.m. Club. So because of which there's this one certain mentality which is like ingrained in my mind that I should wake up and I should have a positive lifestyle, open the windows, look at the sky and all of that. So even during this time I was waking up early and I was opening the windows up early in the morning and just drinking some coffee and just looking out, and I would just think about what could happen in the future, and how we can just live this moment like we have it right now. And because of the virus, again we have realized that there's no tomorrow, there's nothing's permanent. And I've realized that a small mistake like not washing your hands or touching a railing which probably has a virus might actually kill us. So it has obviously given me a lot of realization about life, and the thing that it is very temporary and something can happen to us anytime. So I think mentally just knowing the fact makes me feel more thankful about life, and that is how I'm getting through it.
For me, actually, it's the exact opposite of Gayatri. She would get up early. I would go to bed when she's good getting up. So I was like, okay, see you in a couple of hours. But the thing is that funnily enough, while I was awake and all of that, so one thing that kept me constantly entertained about the thing is that our dorm room has very, weird fire alarms. It would
Oh yes.
start randomly ringing, and I think first time it started ringing, we all got a little scared. I mean, the newcomers got a little scared, and so we rushed down with any of the important documents that he had. And then later on we found out that some people put a lighter right under the alarm system to check whether the alarm system actually works or not. Then the second and the third time that it happened, you could literally see everyone walking out of the room so sarcastically, like tying their bathrobe or whatever, and they're like, okay, let's just walk down, get this over with, and come back and sleep. Gayatri was in a very pissed off mood because, it interrupted with her sleep. I was just, always like, okay, I'm awake.
I was sleeping when this happened and she was awake
3 times. But other than that, what keeps me, other than this entertainment that keeps me, gives me a healthy mind is that I love reading. Like, I'm a bookworm, so I'm always reading. Like, sometimes when Gayatri is talking to me also, I'm reading, and that kind of is like, I'm talking to you. Can you listen? But I'm still reading. So different books, with different scenarios, different genres, take me to a different place, different imagination, different landscape, basically. And if you can imagine that, if you can think of that, that always gives you a positivity. Hopefully the book doesn't end in a sad way, but mostly like, stuff like, there's this possibility, there's that possibilities. So it gives you, a wider range of thought processing and all of that, reading books. And I think generally, though we weren't allowed to go out, we went up to the terrace in the evenings at night, when it was nice and windy. We would take up our jackets, sit there for a while, just walk around.
I would take my cup of hot chocolate upstairs.
Yeah. Just randomly walk around, feel the breeze in the hair that we haven't felt for a few weeks or so. Walk around, just talk, maybe talk to each other, or just basically think and feel what we were missing inside this. Coped up in this room, but yeah, basically that kept us healthy. And also the fact that we were running around always trying to clean or cook, that also kept us pretty on our toes at that point of time.
yeah, Ashwin, it's heartening to know. I think you mentioned that you have read about 47 books during
Yes.
this time. It's amazing. It's amazing. There is one more question. It says, what is the thing that you miss most about India?
My dog. Sorry, I'm an animal person. I miss my dog. I see dogs walking around up and down. I'm like, not happening. I need my cuddle buddy back. Well, other than that, I think you should
Okay.
go first.
I miss my mom's cooking, to be honest, because I've always taken it so much for granted that there's always food on the table. So yeah, there I have to invest some time and make something for myself. So that is one thing I miss. I also miss interacting with everyone face to face, obviously, and which is again not happening even if I was back there in India. So that is something. And there was just a lot more, I think. There was a little bit more of self-satisfaction of being with family during this time. So that is something which none of us are getting. So that is something which I really miss.
Yeah, other than my dog, obviously, I miss my small library space where I have all my books. As I said, I'm a book lover. Also, as Gayatri mentioned, the general interaction that you have with friends, but also with family. You know, I miss my mom's sarcastic comment here or there, on my dad's silly jokes, or my sister just, you know, at it trying to irritate me, but you know, in a fun, loving way. So I feel that people who are together right now with their family at this point of time,
Are
yeah, they're
kind of more gifted than we are for now.
like they're actually gaining, you know, more perspective, and they're getting closer
Yes.
at this point of time. I think this is a time that you need to cherish instead of not looking at it in a negative way, because there are a lot of things you can look at negatively right now. But this one, I think, would you can look at it positively. And we always have a conversation or video call with our friends or family or stuff like that, but being there in person would be quite different. And food, yes, always for food.
I think I find one more question on YouTube. I think it's more out of concern. Have the flights started from Budapest? Have you ever contacted the
So
Indian
there's this
embassy?
one airline. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. No, did you try to contact the Indian embassy? It says, but I think you mentioned you want to extend your stay there.
So we called the embassy many times, and they have cut the call every single time.
Yeah.
And there's this one airline called as Wizz Air. That's the only airline which is right now going on in Budapest. So I think that's mostly a cargo airline. So that is the only one which is functioning right now in the Budapest airport. So I just read a news article, like I think yesterday, that a few more airlines are going to start in the month of June, and Qatar Airways, where we have our flight booked, it is going to start. So I'm hoping that if India opens its international borders, we might be able to come back next month.
So the issue that we're facing is not that the problem about the fact that getting a transport from here shouldn't be an issue within the next month or so. But India has a lot of restriction from where you're coming, and when you're getting there, what are the procedures that they're, like what are the steps that they're taking. So that's also concerning us, because if you're staying in a paid isolation, that's different, and if you're staying in a government isolation, that's different.
Totally different.
And that's not really sitting well with our parents. They're like, that's exactly not what we want right now. So let's see people coming in, checking out and stuff like that. But for a direct answer, right now there are no flights. Hopefully within the next month we will be able to get our flights.
Gayatri, did you say you didn't get response from the embassy whenever you tried to call?
Yes, we called from both our numbers. She has a Hungarian number right now, and I have my Indian number. We called from both the numbers, but the call automatically declines.
Yeah.
And I don't think they reply to our social media.
Yeah, I
thing.
tried to tweet them. I tried to
Oh.
send messages to them, Facebook and everything, but there is no response. And when I checked on Google, there's no opening hours.
Yeah.
So I am not even sure if they would be open if I go there. So
No, but still they should be. So probably you should try tweeting to the External
did.
Affairs Minister. You
I
did?
was like, I tagged everyone, the European Union, the Indian Embassy of Hungary, and all of that.
No response still.
No.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Any more questions? Anybody here want to ask any question? Amlan, Arpita, or any of the students here?
Just come back safe, guys. That's all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
we
sir.
are hoping that.
What do you miss the most about the college?
Oh God, I have said this so many times. I miss our mass comm lab, to be honest, a lot. Like, you remember, no, ma'am, Amritsar, we meet up, we do things, we design everything, we go through the tasks, which are always there's something or the other going on in the BA department. So getting to be a part of that is something I really miss back college.
Agreed. There's always something going on in the BA department, whether it's an event or sometimes even if it's a fight, it's like you're actually really invested into that fight at that point of time. So you're like, I want to know more details about it. But it's like fun and stuff like that. Also, in general, I think we miss our friends. I miss the library a lot. Good Wi-Fi, great place to read your book silently without getting interrupted. But yeah, and I think the general classroom atmosphere.
Yes.
You have different groups who have different thoughts and the way they act, and you just miss interacting.
And I don't remember a single day I have gone back home at like 4 o'clock. Every day I like stay back in the college for another hour and interact with all of us, you, and yeah. So that's something I really miss.
So if we don't have any questions, thank you so much. By the way, Ashwin, did you send in those stories to our lockdown chronicles, or you kept it for yourself?
It's there. Yes.
What? I'm so
You
sorry,
said
sir.
you had written a couple of stories, right?
Yes, sir. I had sent in. I sent in my poem because
Okay.
the stories was one of my photo essays. So
Oh,
the
great.
other stories are there. I can always share it to you personally if you'd like.
I also wanted to say one thing before ending the session is giving this opportunity of our conversation being the last session of eConclave is something really big, and there needs to be a little conclusion. So I just wanted to say that each and every talk here which has happened has added a little bit perspective to me, and obviously it is a huge opportunity for every one of us to come together, the alumni, students, to come together and have a discussion. So I think this initiative itself is really rewarding, and thank you, sir, for idealizing this particular platform.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. And we'd really like to thank all the faculty and everyone who thought that
We were capable
yeah,
of
we were
doing it.
capable of talking about this in such a wide forum. So thank you for that. And yeah,
Yeah, thank you for your words of encouragement for all of us as organizers sitting here. That's good to hear that you have some takeaways from here. One last question that has come from the audience is how do you compare the lifestyle at Budapest with that of India?
Um, yeah, okay. So one thing in Budapest is that, like in India, you have, people like we have college students and people doing internships and stuff like that. But here, people do, small hour-to-hour shifts and jobs like that. So they earn their daily wages sort of like that. Per hour, you have this much amount. And though people over here use euros, but mainly they use forints, which is the Hungarian forints, which is the currency of Hungary. And here you don't have a lot of job opportunities as such because I think Budapest has three major universities where you have a lot of students coming in and stuff like that. So the lifestyle over here is, I think, a pretty tight schedule where you wake up in the morning, you go to work or you go to your university, you get your job done, and then you come back around early evening, you have an earlier dinner, and then I think people are always, as I said, they go back to a nightlife. The nightlife may be, in a pub or in a restaurant or a lounge or something like, or just taking a walk or a jog around the Danube River or something like that. But I say that they have a pretty active lifestyle, and they are also conscious about a lot of things around themselves, like you have a lot of waste basket segregation and stuff like that, and you have certain regulations that you have to follow, and they have a routine, not in terms of on an everyday thing, but also when you're in a supermarket you have to wait in a certain way and do get your stuff out in a certain manner before you pay and stuff like that. So it's an active and a well scheduled routine lifestyle, I would say.
Yeah. Difference with India is that India and Budapest is that it's actually not very different. I mean, people here and all are just not very interactive like how India. To be honest, when I like entered the university and I like tried to speak with a few people, they weren't that friendly, and people don't know who their benchmates are until your professor says talk to this person.
Yeah.
So that is something which I have observed, the difference between India and Budapest. But the same, if we have a classroom back in India, everyone knows each other. Everyone, knows about what is happening with each other. Everyone likes to interact, but that's not the same thing here in college. So that is one difference. Apart from that, everything is scheduled, everything is routine. Like there's a way of everything, and people are not rule breakers over here. I haven't like seen people, breaking a rule or not following the social distancing norm, and they are like very particular about everything. So that is something we should all learn from
And
here.
also, they're very particular about the language. So Hungarians will speak only in Hungarian, even though they see that you're a foreign
Non-European.
yeah, a foreign national or something like that. They will first speak to you in Hungarian. Then you politely tell them, so sorry, we don't understand that. Then they will speak to you in English, but at the end, they'll always give a sort of Hungarian like a greeting or something like that, like a hello or a bye or a thank you will always be in Hungarian. It's not a bad thing. It's more like they really appreciate their culture and their language, and I think we should also
Appreciate our own culture.
yeah.
And during all those days in the university, we had an introduction class, and each and every class we used to speak about our culture, which made me love Indian culture even more.
Yeah, thank you. Murali, would you
Yes, sir.
say a couple of sentences? And
Yes, sir.
today is being the last day, so
Sir, I mean, yeah, first of all, thank you so much for the initiative and the opportunity, sir, because this is something where we have learned a lot. I mean, basically, this is something we are looking at it as the global perspective, because we had the speakers, who are actually experiencing this pandemic at different parts of the world. So that is something that we have learned a lot, and thank you so much for the opportunity. And also, I mean, making us part of this platform.
So thank you, Murali. And those of you who don't know out there in the audience, Murali is our student council president. He's from the class of 3rd BA. So it's a pleasure having all of you. Actually, when the idea of doing something during this lockdown came, a couple of things that stuck me and which I happened to share with the other colleagues in the department, and immediately we were able to take it forward. One is this, the e-conclave, and we also wanted to be different. We didn't want to just have a series of lectures by our own teachers, and you are all, used to that day in, day out. And so we didn't want to be in the forefront doing something, and also keeping the vision of our institution, giving students, kind of exceptional student experience is one. And so I thought probably these are the things that should help every one of you. And initially we thought it's a student initiative. Then we were also, as we were discussing, we thought why not involve our alumni. Our alumni, when I say alumni of our department over the years. We had one, Rachel, from the first batch, ranging from there to, I think from 2014 or 15, we could connect with them. And then I realized there are also a number of alumni out there who are well accomplished, who have expertise in their own area and in many countries. Some of them even contacted me after we started. Would there be, a session for them? I started to feel bad at that time, not because they are not good. We chose some. It is, because of the time constraint and the. So we were also discussing maybe we should take it forward in future, maybe a fortnightly session with an alumni. So that's one of the gains of this lockdown period. Because the other day I received a message from some other department, alumni of our institution, but not from BA, based in Singapore, saying, I am doing so many things and uh, I would be glad to be part of this and do it. So I had to write to him saying, since we made a schedule and moreover, this is alumni of our department at this stage, but then in future, probably we would also coordinate with others and we could take it forward because whatever I have gained personally much from some of those things, some of those sessions by the alumni. And we also felt proud as teachers, not only me, as the teachers of the department who taught those students. And, we felt so proud of their accomplishments and achievements. So that gave us a greater sense of satisfaction as teachers as well, not only for students. You uh, took something out of each of these sessions, but as teachers, that gave us a greater satisfaction. I'm sure in the days to come, that will help us to, do more when we know that students are doing well and they are connected with the department and with the institution. So thank you so much for being part of this initiative, all of you, the organizing committee here, and also the speakers. Readily, whomever we contacted, none of them said no. They all gladly came in. So we thank you, and especially Gayatri and Ashwin. And
Thank you, sir.
yeah,
Thank you.
and we will turn it over to Milan for the formal vote of thanks and closure of this day's session.
I'd like to bring this session to an end with a vote of thanks to our head of department, Dr. Joseph Christodos, and faculty members. I must mention deep sense of appreciation to Gayatri and Ashwin for their detailed explanation of the challenges that they have been facing in Europe. I also thank all the viewers and participants for making this session a success. This is Milan signing off. Goodbye.
Yeah, out there, the audience, we thank each one of you for coming every day. Some of you been coming faithfully. So thank you so much as well. And the